Hey all, I'm going to try this new format. I'm hoping it works, hoping I've got enough room on my phone. I'm going to try to do it non-live streamed deck profiles. So let's see how it goes. So as you can see, I am running Adamancipator fossils. So let's get started, shall we? So first, let's get into the Adamancipator monsters. I am running 3 Analyzer and 3 Seeker. That's all I'm running for the tuners because I'm not going to spend £150 just getting 3 researchers because the deck is meta at the moment. It works as it is anyway. I don't need the researcher. I mean, it would be great, but I don't need it, so it's fine. Next, we have 3 of each crystal. We have our Dragite, our Leonite, and our Raptite. So, reason being is obviously if you know anything about Adamancipators, if I excavate the top 5 cards in my deck and I can special summon a level 4 or lower rock monster from my those excavated and the rest go to the bottom of the deck. These have effects if they're special summoned onto the field by the effect of a Adamancipator monster, so it's always good to have multiple in. Plus, this entire deck is filled with rock monsters, so it's actually very nice for it. Next, we're going for the Kawaki Mirus. So we're going to go with 1 Guardian, 1 Overload, 1 Sandman and 1 Wall. If you want to take out a Sandman, that's fine because these are basically monster solemns. So Guardian is monster effect, tribute it, negate, destroy. Overload is monster summon, negate, destroy, tribute obviously. Sandman is a trap and Wall is a spell. I'll see not many decks are running too many traps now, so it's not as important, but I'll see if you're going against someone who's going to like side impermanence and that, have it in like your side ready for that, I guess. But for anyone who's like running Psych, like, I don't know, the Sacred Beast structure that just came out, it's not that important, so you can side it for something else. Next we're going to be running 2 Doki Doki. Reason being is it's a nice rock to banish off of the fossil stuff, and it's very nice for like discarding a crystal that's in hand, getting it to the graveyard, and then getting yourself a free monster. Basically, Doki Doki is a nice 90% of the time you get a double summon off of it technically. So it's really nice. Plus, as I said, it's like level 2, so you can special summon it off the Adamancipator effect. Next, 2 Block Dragon. This is probably going to get hit by the end of August, by the end of September. I don't see this lasting very long, but I'm going to be running 2 of it because it can be discarded from hand to grave. It can special summon from hand or grave. It doesn't banish itself when it leaves the field, so it's always usable in a sense. So 2 is enough. You don't really always want to see it because obviously this deck isn't really Link built. It's more built with like Adamancipators and fossils themselves in mind. So 2 is enough for this particular build, but if you want to take out the Sandman and run a 3rd, go ahead. Next we're going into the fossil monsters. 3 Weathering Soldier. Basically, if you're going to run any fossils, that's probably a good idea because obviously you can send it to the grave, add a fossil fusion to hand, and then you've obviously got your rock and a fossil fusion ready to go into any of the fossils, which is quite nice. Also, it's the only monster when it comes to fossils, so why not run 3? Next, we're going to go into the spells. I'm going to go with Adamancipator first. And the very first one is controversial. 3 Friends. Reason being is a lot of people don't like this spell. A lot of people don't run this spell. They say it's crap, it's, you know, da da da. But I personally think it's a decent spell. It's not top tier, but the reason that it kind of sucks is it locks you into rock monsters for the rest of the turn. But for this particular build, as I said, all the main deck monsters are rocks. Fossils themselves are rock. All of the synchros for Adamancipator are rock. So there's only like 4 cards in my extra that aren't rock. Plus, you can use it at the end of the turn and it still does its effect. And then it locks you into rock. So, if anything, it's more so you can set up on your next turn. So I run 3 of it because of that. But obviously, you can run whatever versions you want. This is just my really bad fossil build. Next, I'm running 2 signs, so if you want to run 3 signs and 2 friends or whatever, go ahead. The 2 signs are just for the sheer fact of, you know, it's a monster reborn for rocks, and then if it so happens to be an Adamancipator, you can put any rock you want back to the top of your deck, which Obviously, if you have an Adamancipator Seeker or Analyzer out, that's like a free summon. Can't go wrong. Next, we're going to go into the fossil spells, and this is where they start to shine a little. Obviously, you're going to run the free fossil fusion because you always want to see it. Anytime you have a rock in grave and they have any monster in grave, you can go into a fossil, which is quite nice. So, always good to have the fossil fusions. Next, free Miracle Ruptures. Reason being is it's basically Foolish Burial for the deck. It allows you to send your Weathering Soldier to add a Fossil Fusion to hand. Plus, if there's a Fossil Fusion already in the grave, you get to draw a card. So not only is it an upstart without the life points, it's a Foolish Burial in one for a rock deck. I mean, I can understand why it's not going to get banned, because obviously it's rocks only, but for a deck like this, it's got no limitation. It's brilliant. Next, we're going to be running 2 Specimen Inspection. Reason being is, obviously, if you go first and you have a Fossil Fusion in hand in this, you can still do something that isn't Adamancipator related. You can still do some fossil stuff as long as you know what your opponent's playing. Because if you don't know what it does, because not many people are running this, at least not that I've seen, if you have that and a Fossil Fusion in your hand, you discard a monster from your hand, and then you declare a type and a level. Then your opponent has to send a monster of that type and level from their hand or deck to the graveyard if they have one. So say if I know what my opponent's playing, like, I don't know, they're playing Sky Striker, I'd say, you know, I can't remember what the Sky Striker main deck monster is, like, I think it's Spellcaster, and then you say level 4. Boom, you've got their, you got their monster in the grave, you can then fuse it with the monster you just discarded off of the effect. Nice. And then the final one is Time Stream, only running it at 1. Reason being is a fusion in the extra deck can search it, and it's one of the better ways of getting into one of the fusions, because your opponent probably doesn't run like a level 5 or a 6, and even if they do, it might not be in their graveyard at the time. So it's like the best way of getting into one of the fossils. And as I said, it's searchable off of one of the fusions in the actual extra deck. Next, we're going to go into the extra deck. So I'm running 1 Fossil Dragon Skullgar. Reason being is it's just a level 4 fusion. So if they've only got level 4s in their deck, or if that's all they've got in the graveyard at the time, you can still go into a fossil. It's the same reason for Skullbone, but Skullbone is the time stream searcher as well, which is quite nice. And obviously they both have like attacking effects in battle phase. So, you know, not too bad. Next we're going into 2 Skull Knight. Reason I'm running 2 is A, time stream to go into one of them, and then if your opponent is running a level 5 or a 6, it's possible to go into your second one if that's what you want to do. And then there's the sheer fact of, like, it's got a nice effect of like the battling and all that. It's a good card. Next we're going into Fossil Dragon Skullgios. Reason being is it is probably the best beat stick of the deck. It does double damage if it attacks opponent's monster. It can flip their attack and defense. It's a nice little beat stick with 3,500 attack. Plus, it requires a level 8 or level 7 or higher from the opponent's graveyard, which obviously gets rid of like a big card for them. Like, say if they've got I don't know, trying to think of the name of that card. It's basically the main guy from the Lair of Darkness deck. That's great in graveyard. It's a level 8. Get rid of it. Baldurich. How the hell are you supposed to pronounce that zombie negate monster? Just banish that too. The only problem is if they've got Zombie World up at the time, you have no rocks technically, so you can't really fossil fuse. So this deck kind of loses that, but you get the idea. Next, we're running 2 Skull Kings as well. Again, gets rid of a random level 8. It's only got 2,800 attack, but its effect is amazing. You discard a card during your opponent's turn. You take any monster from their graveyard and special summon it. Doesn't ignore summoning conditions though, so do be wary about that. But obviously, if your opponent's got something in the graveyard that they really want to access, or if they've got something in the graveyard that would be amazing on your side of the field, just discard, take it. It will allow you to go into stuff like take their Nightmare Griffins if they've got it in the graveyard, or like a big combo piece that you managed to get rid of earlier. It's actually really good. Next, we're running 1 of each of the Adamancipator Synchros. The main one you go into is this water one, obviously. But we are running one of each because obviously they each have their own effect if there's a particular crystal in the grave. Well, a particular attribute, but the only way you're going to get those attributes is the crystals. So can't go wrong. Next we're going into the links. We are running one cross sheep because obviously the synchros in the deck. Extra deck allows you to add the attack points, and then the fusions allow you to go into bigger link plays. We are running one skull dread because extra draws is always nice. I mean, you're not always going to go into it. Then Brawload to get past the bigger beat sticks. So like, again, Sacred Beast for example, you can't attack over them. If they have the field spell up, you can't target it, so you'd have to like Brawload into it and take it. And the final one, which makes this deck really not budget at the moment, Appaloosa. I managed to get my hand on one, so I decided I'm going to run it in my fossils because that's the deck I'm playing at the moment. I don't need to explain Appaloosa because it is probably the best link monster out at the moment. So yeah, that is the deck at the moment. We are running all of that for the sheer fact of Fossils is only an engine. Fossils is only an engine. It's only got one main deck monster. It doesn't take up much main deck space. So you do want to run another deck with it. And obviously if it's Fossils, you want it to be rocks. So the only somewhat really good rock deck at the moment is either Koa Mirus that you just saw, like run 3 of each and then da-da-da, or Adamancipator. So I decided to mix it with Adamancipator, make some fossils. I've been wanting this deck for, I want to say like 12 years ish. Whenever it started airing, GX started airing in the UK, basically, because the second I saw Jim Crocodile Cook play Fossils, I wanted the deck, but it was never printed. So I'm not going to get cocky because this entire video, I don't know how much room it's going to take, and I don't know how much room I've got on my phone. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be making more of them this way if this works out really nicely. And I hope you guys enjoyed Adamancipator Fossils. They are a fun deck. Ta-ta for now.